Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're going to be taking a look at some more rules from the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. The new edition of Warhammer 40,000 makes all the phases count. It's all change in the upcoming new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Even the very basics of the game have been simplified to make a game smoother and faster without losing depth. Such a cool picture right here. I love the Photoshop through the webway gate. Very cool. The turn structure is still the same. One player still takes the first turn to maneuver and fight with all the forces at their disposal, and then the second player does the same. This is still called the battle round, but 7 phases have now become 5, and both players will now contest each one to the fullest. So I do really like that. A lot of people have talked about alternating activations, and it's just not realistic for a big game like Warhammer 40,000. And I know this is a controversial topic, but I think that's what skirmish games are all about. Alright, so here's our first look at the new phases of the battle round. So the battle round is the full thing, and then inside the battle round, each player will have a player turn, it looks like still. So we have 1, the command phase, 2, movement, 3, shooting, 4, charge, and then 5 is fight. So command phase, both players muster strategic resources, then you test your unit's battle readiness. So basically the morale phase is getting rolled up into the beginning of the turn instead of being at the end of the turn. And then movement phase, your units maneuver across the battlefield and reinforcements enter the fray. Shooting phase, your units fire their ranged weapons at the foe. Charge phase, the units charge forward to battle at close quarters. And then fight phase, both players' units pile in and attack with melee weapons. So interesting. We'll see how this all kind of flushes out throughout the article, but I don't dislike it. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on all the changes at first, and then once we have the full picture and we get a chance to take a look and play it, etc., then we'll see if there are any criticisms necessary. Here's the headline. The phase structure is broadly the same. You perform admin for the turn ahead in the command phase. Then you maneuver in the movement phase, take aim in the shooting phase, charge into melee in the charge phase, and get biffing in the fight phase. So what's changed? The psychic phase and the morale phase are now no more. But this doesn't mean that psychic powers and morale are gone. The effects are still very much present, but they've been smartly compressed into the other phases. Let's break it down. The psychic phase. For some players, the likes of the Thousand Sons, Grey Knights, and Eldari, the old-style psychic phase was a technicolor carnival of Empyrean delights. For others, especially the Tau Empire and Necrons, it was often 10 minutes spent watching your opponent make a bunch of mysterious 2d6 rolls and remove models accordingly. This was often unfun and awkward to play around, so now psychic powers are used throughout the other phases. Instead, peering into the future for tactical insights, that's an ability for the command phase. Paralyzing foes with hypnosis, you'll do that in the fight phase. Tossing around Eldritch Lightning, that's a ranged attack used in the shooting phase, alongside any regular guns you may be carrying. The new Terminator Librarian, for instance, unleashes his smite in the shooting phase. Each time he does so, you can choose to manifest either a controlled mental burst or a recklessly powerful psychic onslaught that may backfire, thanks to the hazardous weapon ability. Alright, so we have our Librarian right here. So we see his stats: move 5, toughness 5, save 2+, wounds 5, leadership 6+, and objective control 1. And then under his range weapons, we see his combi weapon. And then we see Smite, Witchfire, Psychic, as well as Smite, Focused, Witchfire. And then his Stormbolter, and then of course in melee we have his Force Weapon. So the difference between the two Smites, the initial Witchfire versus the Focused Witchfire, both have 24-inch range, both have a d6 attacks, both have a ballistic skill 3+, and then the strength of the regular Smite is 5, the Focused is 6, the AP of the regular Smite is -1, the AP of the Focused Smite is -2, and they both do a d3 damage. But the Focused Smite also has devastating wounds, hazardous, and psychic, as where regular Smite just has the psychic. And then if we just go over to his abilities, we see Core, Deep Strike Leader, Faction, Oath of Moment, Psychic Hood. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 4+ against psychic attacks. And then we have Veil of Time, Psychic. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustain Hits 1 ability. So he has built-in buffs for the unit he's with, as well as some protection. So pretty cool overall. Psychers are more than just brain-based artillery, however. He also boosts any Terminator squad he's leading, twisting the Veil of Time to grant their attacks the Sustained Hits ability. Each Space Marine Librarian brings their own flavor of psychic chicanery to the battle. So it doesn't specifically say that he can only lead Terminators, but the way they say he also boosts any Terminator squads he's leading makes it sound like he can only lead Terminator squads. Because it doesn't specifically say anything on here about only buffing Terminators. So I'm assuming that the armor is going to be some kind of distinction as to who can join what. So for instance, maybe a Terminator character can only join a Terminator squad. I'm not sure of that, but that's kind of the implication I get from how they worded things here. All right, so next we have the orc weird boy, on the other hand, can't be bothered with anything so quotidian as a gun. But his Edbanga shooting attack grows in power and volatility according to how many boys he has in his entourage. So we have the weird boy stats: move 6, toughness 5, save 5+, wounds 4, leadership 7+, OC 1. And then ranged weapons, we have the Edbanga, and it is precision and psychic. Range 24, attacks 1, ballistic skill 4+, strength 6, AP -3, damage 1. He also has his weird boy staff, which is attacks 3, weapon skill 3+, strength 8, AP 1, damage D3. And then under his abilities, we have core, deadly demise, D3, and leader. And then faction Wa, and for the Wa energy. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of this model's Edbanga weapon for every 5 models in that unit, rounding down. But while that unit contains 10 or more models, this weapon has the hazardous ability. So if he leads a squad of 10 guys or more, he's going to get a bunch of boosts, but it becomes hazardous to him. But let's say you put him in like a 20-man squad of boys or something like that, he's going to get boosted for every 5 models. So the strength and damage would be boosted 4 times because it's for every 5 models. So 5, 10, 15, and 20. So with 20 guys in a squad, he would be hitting at strength 12, and the damage would be a D3 plus 4. So pretty crazy. But obviously he is like channeling the energy from all the nearby orcs. And then it also has to jump psychic. Once per turn, at the end of your movement phase, one weird boy from your army can use this ability. If it does so, roll a d6. On a 1, the weird boy's unit suffers a d6 mortal wounds. On a 2-up, remove the weird boy unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 horizontally away from all enemy units. So to jump was really good before, and it seems like it's still really good, but now you have to actually have the weird boy jump with the unit. So there's no more just kind of keeping your weird boy in the back and then just kind of slingshotting units up. Now the weird boy actually has to go with them. So interesting dynamic. I like it though. His jump power fires at the end of the movement phase, allowing you to teleport his lads somewhere more deadly, assuming his brain doesn't explode from the stress. So overall, I like it. I do think rolling the psychic phase into the actual game is good, as long as you don't take away from the psychic abilities, which it doesn't look like they're doing. So overall, I really like it. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. All right, and next we have the morale phase. Morale is even simpler. That all gets sorted in your command phase when you take battle shock tests for any units that have taken enough losses. Battle shock tests are super simple. Roll 2d6 for every unit that is below half strength. That means they're a squad that is less than half of their starting models, or a single model with less than half of their starting wounds. You'll need to roll equal to or above your new leadership characteristic. If you fail, that unit suffers some nasty penalties until your next turn. So units below half strength. So if you have 10 Marines, once you're at 4, you'll have to take battle shock tests. And for single models as well, with less than half of their starting wounds. So if you have a model that started with 6 wounds and it's down to 2, you'll have to take battle shock for them, below half. So battle shock, in this step, you must take a battle shock test for each of your units on the battlefield that is below half strength. To do so, roll 2d6. If the result is greater than or equal to the best leadership characteristic in the unit, the test is passed. Otherwise, the test has failed. Until the start of the next command phase, the unit is battle shocked. So I do like that because, again, when you join a character to a unit, you can use your best leadership. So the character is going to buff in many, many ways. So while a unit is battle shocked, here are the penalties. The objective control characteristic of all models in the unit is 0. So that is very important. They're obviously focused on survival rather than taking objectives. If it falls back, you must take a desperate escape test for every model in that unit. So I would imagine it's going to be something like on a 1 or a 2, you take casualties. And its controlling player cannot use stratagems to affect that unit, so they are uneligible for stratagems while they are battle shocked. So if there is still something like insane bravery, that's very important because you can use that to stop them from going battle shocked, but once they're battle shocked, you won't be able to hit them with any other stratagems. Overall, I like it. I think it's simplified, and hopefully it rolls into the game, speeds it up, and just makes it all around more fun. And so far, I think that's really what they've been trying to do, making universal rules, simplifying things, removing phases, taking away like feel bad moments. That's all the stuff I want to see, and it looks like Games Workshop is really doing all that. So with this change, morale is no longer just a casualty multiplier. Like psychic powers, Battle Shock now impacts every other phase of the game, shaping how you use your units and rewarding players who can keep their army in fighting order. From transports to terrain rules, there's loads more to see in the new edition. Stay tuned in Warhammer community across the coming weeks. So very cool. I like it. Less phases, more simple, lots of general rules that everyone will be familiar with, and not as many feel bad moments. It seems like Games Workshop is really taking into account like the feedback from the community and like requests for what we would like to see. And I think most people would like to see faster, more fun games that are smooth without feel bad moments. And for me, that's the biggest thing I'm excited about. I'm sure I want the game to be balanced and competitive, but more importantly than anything, I just want it to be fun, and I want the barriers of entry to be less. And it seems like that is really what Games Workshop is addressing. So once again, I have to say, until we have the full rules and everything in front of us, I really like everything. I think it's great, and all of these seem like positive improvements. Of course, there's going to be some weird, like, kind of apprehension towards change and everything, and I totally get it, and learning a new rule set is definitely daunting. But if the rule set is better and it's easier to learn, I think it's going to be better for the overall game, the community, and everyone involved in it. So let me know what you think. Always like to hear back from you guys. Let me know what seems like a positive change or what seems like it could potentially be a negative change. Obviously, we don't have the full picture yet, but what do you think so far of the overall changes that we're seeing and the overall arching theme from Games Workshop? Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. As always, check out the link in the description to save 15%. And that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and the closer we get, the more excited I get. And I'm out of here.